George Russell wants Red Bull out of Formula One. The young British driver has had enough of Max Verstappen's dominance, and he thinks that the sport would be better off without him and the rest of his team in it. Toto Wolff might agree with him, given his recent comments about Verstappen's cocky attitude on display during the Belgian Grand Prix. That, and the return of Lewis Hamilton's worst nightmare, so stay tuned. As Red Bull keeps dominating this season, they've won all 12 Grand Prix so far, and even secured P1 in both sprint events. For them, this season hasn't been a competition at all. Not only do they have their drivers at the top in the standings, but they've also amassed more than twice the points of the team in second place in the Constructors' Championship. Right now, Mercedes is holding that second position, sitting ahead of Aston Martin, and Ferrari is a bit further behind. But keep an eye on McLaren, as they have made remarkable progress recently and are rapidly closing the gap. While Red Bull has been consistently securing the top spot, the four teams behind them have all finished as runner-ups at least once, with Mercedes, Aston Martin, and McLaren accomplishing this feat twice. If we take Red Bull out of the picture, this season had the potential for four different teams to take victory in races, and as Lewis Hamilton openly admits, bridging the gap to Red Bull and securing a race win is no walk in the park. He shared his thoughts with fans at the Belgian fan zone last Saturday, saying, "As we develop, everyone else develops, so the gap is not so easy to close. But to get a pole position last week was incredible, and I think yesterday I was only a 10th off pole, well, with Max out of the window. I think behind the Red Bulls, there is a really great competition between the Astons, the McLarens, and us and Ferrari." George Russell added to the conversation, saying, "Formula One would be so exciting if Max and Red Bull weren't here at the moment. Red Bull deserve respect for their accomplishments this season. They've set an impressive new record with 13 consecutive wins now, breaking a 35-year-old record previously held by McLaren. But let's not forget, the competition behind them is no slouch either. According to Russell, the battle between the other teams is pretty intense and exciting. I mean, we super respect everything they do, and if you do a great job, you deserve the victory. The fight for the second best team at the moment between us, McLaren, Ferrari, and Aston is pretty exciting." Hamilton then said, "That's the goal for us, to make sure we get the team into second place this year. We just have to give absolutely everything. I think we can definitely improve in the second phase of the year. We have an upgrade this weekend and a big thank you to all the team back at the factory. It means so much to them to be second this year, especially where we've come from." Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff seems to share the same disdain his drivers have for Red Bull, Max Verstappen specifically. He said his piece about the Dutchman's cheeky radio messages in Sunday's race. Verstappen got caught up in a rather tense radio exchange with his race engineer, Gianpiero Lambiase, during the Spanish Grand Prix at Spa. Despite starting from the 6th grid slot, he quickly stormed his way into the lead, leaving his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez behind as he established a commanding advantage, and things took a turn for the worse during that radio conversation. Verstappen was on fire, exuding dominance and confidence as he led the race. He was so in control that he decided to take an extra pit stop just for the thrill of it. However, Lambiase noticed that the first set of tires had worn reasonably well, and advised Verstappen to be a bit more cautious with his strategy. Understandably, Verstappen didn't seem too pleased with the advice and had a clear response to the admonishment. He said, "I could also push on and we do another stop? A little bit of pit stop training." When questioned about Verstappen's radio messages and whether they could be interpreted as cocky, and if this gave Mercedes extra motivation to do better, Wolff acknowledged that Verstappen has earned the right to be a bit cheeky. His dominant performances have given him the confidence to express himself in such a manner. While it may spur Mercedes on to perform better, Wolff recognizes that Verstappen's achievements have granted him the privilege to show a bit of attitude. Wolff said, "He has all reasons to be a bit cheeky. He's just driving everybody else around in circles, and it's on merit. There's nothing else to say, and you've got to watch that. On the one hand, as much as it is annoying, that's just about the lot." Wolff further elaborated on the difference between Red Bull and Mercedes, stating that he believes the real edge is being provided by the Dutch driver himself. He pointed out that Sergio Perez couldn't keep up with his teammates' performance, and he believes that the Mexican driver is on the same level as them right now in terms of speed. "I think you can even take Perez into the equation. We are racing each other. We seem to be following similar development routes, but there's just one car that is faster today. That was 1.5 seconds a lap when he was pushing at the beginning of the race, so we've got to get on top of it. I think you just need to take Max out of the equation. The second Red Bull is where we are. Without Verstappen, it would be a fantastic season and close racing, but you know, in the sport, the stopwatch never lies. There's just one guy in one car that's above everything else, and we've just gotta catch up. There's no choice. In the last Formula 1 race before the summer break, Lewis Hamilton finished in 4th place. Despite his efforts, he couldn't prevent Max Verstappen from storming the victory. Even so, Hamilton managed to maintain a safe distance from the competitors behind him and even earned an extra point for setting the fastest lap by making a late pit stop for fresh tires. For Mercedes, there was a concerning issue during the race, as reported by the 7-time world champion. He experienced problems with the car bouncing throughout the event. This particular problem has been persistent for the team since they transitioned to ground effect cars in the first season. Last season, Mercedes was one of the teams that faced significant challenges with porpoising, and even with changes made to its zero-pod concept to extract better performance, bouncing issues persisted. This season, the team made significant modifications to its Formula 1 car design midway through the year, but Lewis Hamilton expressed concerns about the bouncing problem resurfacing during the recent race. In an interview with Sky Sports F1, he said, "I think it was kind of a non-eventful race. There wasn't much really going on. I wasn't able to keep up with the cars ahead of me. I struggled at the beginning. Rear end is our biggest issue. Then we had big bouncing this weekend, so we are back to the bouncing like we had last year. So at the end, I was keeping the Ferrari within a few seconds, but I couldn't get any closer to that battle. Then to get the fastest lap at the end, it was nice to have the gap to the car behind. It was decent, but it was gusty today, and it was very difficult out there, and difficult to keep it on track." After the race, Lewis Hamilton confirmed that the bouncing issue was all over the place throughout the entire Spa circuit. Mercedes is fully aware of the problem and is committed to investigating the issue thoroughly, looking to find a solution before the race after the summer break. Hamilton then added, "They don't know, and to me it is a concern, but we will work through the data this week and try to figure out what we do before the next race. But I don't really have much more answers for you. I know what I want, and I am praying for it. I am just waiting for the day that we get it." What do you think? Will Formula 1 be a better place without Red Bull in it, or is George Russell just sore from all the losing? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.